Hey guys, Fico here, and this video that I'm going to do today, it's a little bit of a more of a serious tone towards it over the events that transpired yesterday. As many of you probably already know, Hiroshi Yamauchi, who was the former president of Nintendo before Satoru Iwata took over, has passed away. He had complications of pneumonia. He died yesterday at the age of 85. And for those of you who don't know who he is or who he was, he took over the company at the age of 22. When back then it was still a Hanafuda card company or flower card company. They basically make card games. And it was because of Yamauchi that it transpired from what it was to what we know now. They went over to the electronics department. That's when they started focusing on doing stuff like video games. That's where he found a factory engineer in his company called Gunpei Yokoi, who is the inventor of the Game Boy, the Game & Watch, and that lovely square D-pad that you all seem to love so much. That was his as well. And that's and at that time he also discovered Shigeru Miyamoto and Donkey Kong and his game that sold marvelously. And then from there on, as things started focusing, Nintendo came out with the NES, the SNES. He oversaw every single one of these until the GameCube, and then from then on he passed on the control over to Satoru, and then from there on it's been like that ever since. Fun facts about how I've been doing a little bit of research from him. He actually took over the company, and his condition was that he wanted just to be him, the only person in the family in charge, so he had to actually end up firing a cousin of his when he was taking over the company. He wasn't well received at first, and he started telling people, no, you're gonna take me serious. He started firing like long-time workers over there. It was kind of sort of like he was a bit of a dick, but I guess he was just trying to make this assertion that, you know what, I'm here to take over. I want you guys to get the notion that with me, we're gonna move forward. And that's pretty much what he pushed. He also owned the Seattle Mariners, and he never attended a game. Never attended a game. Apparently he never attended a single Mariners game. He never even attended a baseball game when he took over, when he bought him. And I think Howard Lincoln was the person who was the CEO of the Seattle Mariners currently. I think I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I kind of sort of read it somewhere. And for those of you, Howard Lincoln was the former president of Nintendo of America, and that's another person I came to grow up knowing as I was learning about Nintendo. Now, let me just go on the rant. I'm a man of Nintendo. I mean, if you've noticed over the couple of videos that I've been, it may seem as though you might have caught me bad-mouthing Nintendo a little bit. You guys, it's far away from the truth. I am a man of Nintendo. I grew up with the NES. I received that many years ago along with my brother, who back then he used to play video games with me. The first game that I had, like many people, was the Mario Duck Hunt combo, and my brother had this game called Mickey Mouse Capades. That game was actually hard. that was a hard Mickey-related game. Legend of Zelda, Star Tropics, a bunch of games I grew up with playing. That's where I first played them on. I got the Game Boy for my birthday, the very first Game Boy, the one with the green screen and no light, so I had to go somewhere lit up with the 4 AA batteries. I got it on my birthday, and almost nobody saw me that day because I was somewhere else playing with the Game Boy. My favorite Nintendo story was when I was, I think it was either my birthday or the last day of class, and my mom took me on the last, I think it was the last day of class, either from the first or the second semester. I'm thinking it's the second semester. And she took me, she kind of said, close your eyes. And it was like a long, long drive. And here I was like, close my eyes. And, you know, I was young, so I couldn't really tell too much of what was happening around me. So, she took me into a mall, and I was still with my eyes closed. I didn't know, I had no idea where I was. Then all of a sudden, she tells me to open my eyes. And when I open my eyes, I'm looking at a glass display panel with a TV that says Super Mario World, playing the Super Mario World intro with a Super Nintendo. And I was like, oh, it just blew my mind away. I was like, yes! Yes! And that was my Super Nintendo story. I used to always go to the back of every KB Toys on every mall, and I would just look at that intro screen of Super Mario. Constantly. I don't know what it was. It was sort of like mesmerizing for me. I don't know what it was. It's just every time I just had to do a beeline to that store. I always also subscribed to Nintendo Power, and that's where I found out about the Nintendo Ultra 64 back then, renamed later to the N64, and that's where I started to just freak out about Mario 64. I even received a videotape of the stuff that they were going to be offering you. They would mail you tapes. If you were a member of Nintendo Power, they would mail you tapes. I had a Donkey Kong Country videotape when they actually went to the tree house. And I also had a videotape of Star Fox 64 soon after that. I don't know why they stopped doing that and why they never incorporated having CDs or DVDs. Maybe they did, because I am subscribed from Nintendo Power some time ago, and I know that the magazine is no longer on production anymore, and that's yet another piece of Nintendo history that I was kind of just like hoping they kept going. But the current status of Nintendo, we'll get to that in a minute. But the N64, Mario 64, that was the first time ever in my life in regards to console that I realized that we were heading into a new generation. And it was amazing. I thought that was the greatest thing ever to happen. And people kept on trying to tell me that the PlayStation was better, and I think the Sega Saturn was also this big, powerful console there. And I remember that the game, I was starting to hear stuff about the Dreamcast over that time, and I was realizing that the games were going into a direction where they were looking better. But the N64, boy golly, those were some great times. Mario 64, Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, multiplayer matches constantly all the time. Boy, I'm trying to remember games. Turok 2, Jet Force Gemini. Nobody talks about Jet Force Gemini. I freaking love Jet Force Gemini. Jet Force Gemini is like one of my favorite Rare games. Of course, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie. That was a great era for Rare and Nintendo, and it was a great time. And the GameCube, not a lot of people give it credit to the GameCube. A lot of people say it was like, oh, it's just a little purple box, and what's the deal with the little CDs? Well, down here, you'll see I still have every single GameCube game. I mean, I've got games like these, like Beautiful Joe, I freaking love. I got my very first Resident Evil 4. I got it first on the GameCube. This is the best edition, and if you notice right here, all the hate that I give GameStop, I actually this is the GameStop edition of it. So yeah, back then I was a blind follower of GameStop, but and of course I'm a huge fighting game enthusiast, and of course I got the GameCube version because come on, really. Spawn, Heihachi Mishima, please. The HD version has both of them. Link is absent. I don't know if he's gonna be in it. Moving on. But I freaking loved the GameCube, and it's great moments that I've had with it, and games and new technologies and a lot of great moments. And this is now to go on a more personal note, I've rented Beyond Pass, and this sort of kind of turned into my love for Nintendo over the talk of Hiroshi Yamauchi, and Hiroshi Yamauchi is the reason why I got into video games. I mean, imagine that. Imagine if he had not come along and Nintendo would have still been a card company. There could have been a strong chance that that card company would have not been available anymore. There's a good strong chance that we would have never seen an NES or a Game Boy or anything else for that matter that was related to Nintendo. We would not have had a Nintendo, and Hiroshi Yamauchi saw an opportunity. He looked at the horizon and he said, you know what, we're heading into an electronic age. We need to bring in something that is going to make us money. And because of him, he steered Nintendo into a direction that led to this. That's right. My Wii, none of that would have been existent. My Game Boy, the 2DS, the 3DS, none of that would have existed. I contend that maybe, possibly, it might have existed, but I honestly don't know. I mean, he discovered these innovators that shaped Nintendo with their characters and their inventions, like the Game Boy, and the contributions that Gunpei did, and the ones that Shigeru did. And from there on, went to discover other people like Keiji Inafune, who brought us Mega Man. And then came Metroid, and then came Zelda, and then came others, you know, and this is what it's all about. And I was thinking to myself, this man that passed away yesterday, who was very rich, by the way, and he had turned over the company to Satoru Iwata, which has not been, well, I wouldn't say that the Wii didn't go on to become this amazing seller for them. I would say that the Wii led to a more prosperous time for Nintendo, but the way that the company is now, I kinda really would have liked to have seen them turn around before his passing, because now it seems as though they really do need to turn themselves around, if not, if anything, to just make sure that his legacy moves on, because a lot of people are talking about Nintendo shifting towards software only, not making hardware anymore, and I honestly couldn't see Nintendo being that type of company. So I really don't know if I could, you know, accept Nintendo that way, but letting another company run their franchises, that's why Nintendo has been at the head of the top, because they are the controllers of their destinies, you know, they are the ones that dictate what happens. Do changes have to happen? I think so, but one thing is for sure, if it wasn't for Hiroshi Yamauchi, Nintendo would not be what Nintendo was. We wouldn't have a Nintendo Power, we wouldn't have a Game Boy, we wouldn't have interesting consoles like the Virtual Boy, which was an aspiration at the time, but failed in its execution. But we wouldn't have the amazing love that we have for games like this. This is because of him. Now, I know that Shigeru Miyamoto is the one that has to get all the credit for bringing us these characters. But if it wasn't for Hiroshi Yamauchi, he wouldn't have been even given a chance. So thank you Hiroshi. Thank you for steering Nintendo into the bright light that it was, and it's dimmed a little, but I do hope that Nintendo will find its way again. So, and may you rest in peace, and say Gunpei hey when you see him again, and the game industry's lost a major giant. And I hope that you get acknowledged for that. So, my condolences to the family, and for Nintendo, I do hope that this illuminates you. And I know that you guys lost a big player in your department. So, you know, you guys have been shut out, considered. It's time for you guys to fade away, but no, I still believe in you guys, and if anything, do this for him, not for us. Do this for him. Well, it's the end of my rant, so went a little longer than I wanted to, but that's honestly what I feel. So thank you guys for watching. Peace.